Hi, everyone. I'm Noelle. I am one of the dosage specialists here at Equilibria. I'm excited to join you all tonight, talk a little bit more about my aha moment and some of the other dosage specialists. I have a background in clinical education. I've also worked in healthcare, and I have some extensive cannabis training. So I'm excited to share a little bit more with you tonight. And Bee, would you like to share a little bit more about you?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Bee. I'm a dosage specialist here at Equilibria. I've been a cannabis professional for about 5 years now, and I am excited as well to talk to you about my CBD journey, as well as how to make those slight changes to your routine. So with that being said, let's get started. Perfect.
So we're going to be talking about exploring personal experiences of CBD. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about why is CBD important. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the science and why you're incorporating CBD into your daily routine to kind of understand how that fits into your regimen. We'll also be covering the aha moment, what it is, what it can look like and feel like, a little bit more surrounding that, and we'll share a little bit later our personal aha moments as well as some from other dosage specialists on the member education team. We're also going to give you a little bit of guidance for your routine, help guide you if you're not feeling it, help, give you some tips and tricks to help you optimize success with your routine. And then we'll finish it up with Q&A and answer all of your questions that you have for us.
So, why is CBD important? When it comes to starting your CBD journey, a lot of our members come for various different reasons, but everyone has that same thing in common, and is they just want to get relief for their day-to-day. And what that starts with is our endocannabinoid system, or our ECS. And so our bodies all contain this system of receptors that's within our vital organs and within our skin that are responsible for so many different processes. And your body makes these endocannabinoids to help keep these processes running efficiently, keep your body in this balance or homeostasis state. But because we are just very susceptible to not only internal changes, but also external factors as well, our body can get out of balance. And part of that reason is the amount of cortisol that's within your body, as well as the amount of stress that you're experiencing. When it comes to your endocannabinoid system, it's linked to a lot of different processes: your hormone balance, your circadian rhythm, your mood, your appetite, digestive system, your body's response to stress. All of that play into how CBD is going to interact with your body and your dose as well.
So these are some of the more popular reasons our members turn to CBD. As you can see, there's quite a few. With CBD, we are not targeting one specific area. We're targeting that ECS, which then, can support a bunch of different health goals. Keep in mind, your health goals can be intertwined. So you may see improvement in one area and then, not in another. For example, think about stress and sleep. Maybe you notice feeling less stressed throughout the day, but you don't see the needle move with your sleep. Well, they can be linked, but your body with that ECS and supporting that, it may take extra time to kind of help your body balance out to support your sleep. So just know you may see results over time, and you may see results in certain areas before others. Even though you have the same health goals as, your sister, your daughter, your mother, your friend, you're going to have different experiences with CBD. Just like your schedule, just like your style, your CBD is going to be personalized to you. Your body, your health goals, your needs are different. And Because of that, your CBD journey will be different as well. And we know that. We've been in your shoes. Bee and I have, come to our own realizations with our routine and had to experiment. And we found that it can be complex. And we know it can take time, consistency, patience. So that's why we have the dosage specialists here, why we have the member education team. We're committed to helping you build a successful CBD routine.
So if you are starting off, you probably have the same questions that many of our members have. What am I supposed to feel after taking my CBD? When will I start to notice my CBD routine is working? How can I tell that it's working? Should I increase my dose? Should I decrease my dose? All of those questions are very common. And what it comes down to when with your CBD routine is it's more about what you don't feel rather than what you do feel. And as far as expectations for your routine, it's really about being self-reflective and making those self-check-ins to see how your doses are doing. So for your routine, and for a lot of our members, typically within the first couple of weeks, there is very subtle changes. And this is due to a daily routine. Oftentimes, to get the best results from their routine, it takes about 2 to 3 months for members to notice the changes and to notice those benefits. But even then, with having that average time frame of our members, the exact timeline of when you will notice the effects from your routine is going to be unique to you. And that's why we're all here today, is really to talk about how to tell if your routine is working, how to make those adjustments to your day-to-day routine so that you can understand what to expect moving forward, as well as set yourself up for success. Some of the questions that you should ask yourself whenever you are going through your CBD journey is, have you noticed any changes on how you're reacting throughout the day? So if you have that, let's say, Monday morning meeting that always kind of gets you a little overwhelmed, after starting your routine, are you noticing a difference in that feeling? Are you feeling less stress when it comes to expecting that meeting? Or in terms of your sleep, are you finding it that it's easier for you to fall asleep? In terms of staying awake at night, are you finding that time frame that it takes to go to sleep is shorter? Are you finding that you're waking up and feeling refreshed? Or even in terms of your physical needs, are you noticing less stiffness or soreness in terms of discomfort or your stress? And when it comes to starting your CBD routine, it's going to take some experimentation, and it's not always what you feel in the moment, but more of looking forward, more of that forward thinking. And so when it comes to when or how or what to expect from your routine, that timeline is going to depend on a couple of different things. One of them being your health goals. As Noelle has mentioned before, you can have different aha moments or notice different benefits for your health goals at different times. If your focus is your main goal, you might have to tackle that stress aspect first. So the timeline can vary based off of how long you've been experiencing this kind of unbalancedness in your body, as well as what your health goals are. Also, it depends on your body's chemistry. Of course, we know every person's different. And that's why, even though it's good to be able to talk with your family or talk with your friends in terms of how their routine is going, don't try to base your journey off of their experience. It's essentially going to set yourself up to fail if you're always trying to compare your routine or what you're going through to someone else's routine. Their timeline is going to be a lot different. And then lastly, your CBD dose is going to play a lot into when you will notice those benefits from your routine. If you are taking a low amount or lower than what your body needs, it can take a longer period of time for you to notice those kind of benefits. So that's why whenever you are working with our member education team, whether it's your first phone call with us, or your second, or your fifth, our goal is to figure out what is going to be that lowest amount that you need for your body in order to experience the maximum amount of benefits.
Great point, B. It's different for everybody. That's really just the takeaway from that. So let's kind of dive into what is the aha moment. So the aha moment is the moment you start seeing positive benefits as you've been following your daily routine. That's different for everybody, as we talked about. It's possible maybe your family or your friends can see the differences and mention it before you notice. It's possible that you could forget a dose and then you really notice a drastic change in how you were sleeping, how you were feeling, your mood, etc. Or, it could be that you're responding more calmly in a high stress situation. If it's an emergency and you're feeling like, okay, I know what I need to do and clear-headed, that could be your CBD routine, right? If that's not how you're behaving prior to that. So everyone's moment feels a little different. Ways to kind of help you clue into your CBD routine and if it's working, self-reflection is a big one. We also really encourage journaling while you start your routine. If you haven't started yet, another good thing you can do is really check in with your body, see how you're feeling mentally, physically, emotionally. And then as you start your routine and continue with it, you can take notes on how you're feeling mentally, physically, emotionally, as well as when you're taking your doses. You can observe little changes. You could do it week to week. That might kind of help you see that progress over time. I know some people like to do reflections over the course of a month. Again, it's your personal preference, but really tuning into your body and looking for those differences is going to be vital in your aha moment. Another thing to know is you might not actually see all the change, or well, let's rephrase this. You might actually see unexpected changes you weren't predicting. So that's something. You may have gone into your CBD, I'm taking it for sleep. But then you notice, hey, I'm noticing improved energy. I'm focusing better during the day. Or you're taking it for stress, but you're noticing better sleep. Or, that you're less tense in your shoulders. So there can be other benefits that you weren't expecting. And if you're noticing that, those are good signs. Those are good signs your CBD is moving in a good direction. Just remember, when we're taking CBD, we're not targeting one specific area of the body. We're not targeting one specific health goal. Now, we have that intention in mind, but what we're doing is we're supporting the body's system, which is supporting balance and, regulation of all the systems in our body that then, regulate those functions. So the timeline is going to be whatever your body needs, and it's going to be in different areas based on your body and what it needs. So those changes, they can look like feeling less tense or reactive to stress. So you walk into a kitchen, there's a bunch of dirty dishes. Normally it would set you off. It doesn't set you off. You just say, okay, and then you tackle the dishes. Could be an easier time, shutting your mind off before bed. I know that happens to a lot of us. You get to the end of the day, your head hits the pillow, and then all those thoughts come flooding in. Your to-do list, work, family, things that you don't need to think about at all, the future, and it can be hard. So if you're noticing a change in that, that's a good difference. That's a good sign we're moving in a good direction with your routine. Other things you could notice, fewer interruptions. You're not waking up as much, not feeling as stiff or as tense, like B was saying. Your shoulders could be lowered. They're not as up by my ears, they're down here. Hey, that's a good sign. or, you know, shifts in your mood, shifts in focus. Another unexpected one that, you know, a lot of our members will tell us is less dramatic symptoms during their periods. So not as on edge, not as much discomfort, not feeling as bloated or as, you know, uncomfortable when those cramps set in. So again, there's just a lot of different things, and you just got to look out. You know your body, so keep track of what you're noticing throughout your journey.
Well put, Noelle. And it's just like you said, essentially nothing in our life is static in terms of our day-to-day. And so your CBD routine shouldn't be static either. There are a couple of different things that can also affect your aha moment or you noticing the benefits from your routine. One of them being consistency. Since we know that CBD is working with our body's natural rhythm, it's important to create that foundation so that your body can build on top of your CBD routine. So that's why we always recommend, you know, having that daily consistent use. One, that helps your body to be able to balance out a lot faster in terms of timeline, because if you are, you know, taking it sporadically or as needed, you're not giving your body that full support. You're not giving that ECS, that full support to be able to be more proactive in your body's response rather than reactive. And that's what the goal is. The goal is to help your body to be more balanced and to be able to discomfort or to be able to calm down in stressful situations. But it really comes down to having that consistency. And the best way to draw a comparison is exercise. When it comes to your wellness and your fitness routine, we all know that you can't go into the gym once and expect to come out with a six-pack or expect to come out and be super flexible. It's a journey with your fitness routine. It takes going in and working different muscles and changing up your workout routine so that you can start to notice those benefits and changes within your body. And the same thing goes for your CBD routine. And once some of our members have that established routine, they've noticed that they've actually been able to decrease their dose after some time. Another thing that can affect your aha moment is self-awareness. You know your body better than anyone else. And so even though it can be a little bit daunting, finding your dose is going to take some experimentation. And just like Noelle had touched on, journaling can help you keep track of those adjustments and those doses and how your body is responding. Sometimes we can't see things when we're in the moment, especially if you have been just kind of dealing with stress on a day-to-day and it's become a natural way of life for you. You're kind of blinded by what you're experiencing. So you may not be able to notice the benefits by just thinking off the top of your head, but having that notation and keeping track of your doses can help give you better insight into what is working for your routine and what areas need a little bit more assistance. It also gives you a way to be able to see how your body is responding to different types of CBD products. Some of our members have noticed that their bodies respond better to the daily drops versus the daily soft gels because of how each of those products interact with the body slightly differently. So it really is going to come down to having that experimentation and having that self-awareness so that you know what changes you need to make moving forward. And lastly, not only does it take adding CBD to your life, but also some lifestyle changes as well that might need to be adjusted. One of the things that we've noticed in terms of, or especially I have noticed in terms of my CBD routine is that when it came to my sleep, not only did I have to change up with how I was taking my products to be able to help out with that staying asleep aspect, but also changing my bedtime routine, turning off the TV an hour before I get into bed, not being on my phone, preparing your body and getting your brain into that habit, into that routine helps your body to be able to notice those changes. It helps it to be able to utilize the CBD in the way that it's supposed to. So not only does it take some CBD alterations, but some lifestyle changes as well.
I couldn't agree more, B. I mean, one of my favorite things, just a little tip for y'all, is I love to take my CBD as part of my evening routine. And then I will throw on like meditation. So sometimes it'll be nature sounds, sometimes it's just like a sleep meditation. But I find it just like pairing those together is just such a beautiful combo. Another thing, I was talking to my doctor, and my doctor was telling me, having a self-care routine is a foundation for setting you up for success, to help you feel grounded in those moments where, you're feeling more stressed or you're having more of a difficult time. So CBD is a great tool to have in your self-care kit, right? But paired alongside other things, because it won't be the only thing. It can be great with a great workout, or, animal time with your pets, or meditation, like we were saying, journaling. But all of them together can really enhance your success with your CBD routine, ultimately.
Absolutely. And now we'd like to share some of the aha moments of our member education team. Even though we're here to help you with your dosing, help you learn about products, learn about CBD in general, we have been in your same shoes. We've been in your same situation when it came to starting our own CBD routine. And we know that it can be hard to stay consistent, especially if you don't know what to expect from your routine. So that's why we, as well as some of our dosage specialists on our team, have provided some insights as to what their aha moments looked like. And to start us off, I like to share my story about how I started my CBD routine, as well as my current journey. So, in terms of my CBD routine, it all starts back in 2018. It was a year that I was in a stressful job. I was experiencing burnout, but I also was going through grief as well. Unfortunately, in 2018, I lost both my grandpa in April, and then I lost my brother in October. And there's a lot of changes that my body was going through in terms of experiencing that grief. In between the burnout and between grieving, it felt almost as if my body was in this autopilot experience, and I wasn't really living in the moment. I was just kind of existing and moving. And as the time went on, it felt like emotionally and stress-wise, things just kept piling on, and it was getting harder and harder to be able to decompress from not only the day-to-day of work, but also just decompress from my emotions as well. And it always felt like my body was on edge. So I started my CBD routine with originally a different company. I was taking CBD isolate products, and I was sitting at a pretty high dose and wasn't noticing anything. I was just like many members. A month had came in. I was like, this isn't working. I need something else. So eventually I went and I talked to my doctor. We talked about all of my different options in terms of medication, in terms of CBD. And about a year later, I decided to give it another try. So that's when I found Equilibria's products. And when I first started my dose, I thought that I could be as high or start as high of a dose as I was originally, even with having that break. So that was the first thing that I noticed when I first started taking Equilibria products. My dose was originally a daily soft gel in the morning, the daily drops in the afternoon, as well as my daily gummies at night. And when I first started my dose, I felt overwhelmed with the amount that I was taking. So I definitely had to scale it back a lot. And then as I got into about a month and a half of my routine, the first thing I noticed was a change in my focus. And that was not even something that I was trying to have as a health goal. So I was noticing that not only was I able to focus on work tasks, but I was also able to focus on the hobbies that brought me that peace or that calm, like reading. So that was one of the first things that I noticed, because it was a goal that not only affected my work life, but also affected my home life as well. And then the second thing that I noticed about 2 months out was a change in my sleep. That's when I was noticing I was able to fall asleep faster. I noticed I was able to stay asleep longer. I was feeling more well rested whenever I was getting up in the morning. Wasn't reaching for that snooze button. And that's when I was like, okay, it just takes some time. I wasn't giving my body the time it needed to be able to adjust. And then the last, I guess, notice or change in my body that I could tell from my CBD routine was a decrease in my stress. And that didn't come until a lot later, more into about like the 4 month mark. And the reason why I didn't notice the stress as much is because it was something, again, that I had just gotten used to dealing with. And so the first thing I noticed in terms of my stress levels was not being as quick to irritability. And then also noticing physically that my body wasn't having the same aches or discomforts that it was used to because I was so tense. And then I was just telling Noelle earlier, actually, whenever we connected, that with changing my routine now to having that full dropper in the morning, and then taking my soft gel in the afternoon and at night, that I definitely noticed feeling normal. That was the best way that I could put it, and felt like that I could actually have that breath of fresh air, could feel more relaxed and calm. But had another aha moment as I was thinking about my experience today. And that came in terms of my mood and with grief. I know that grief is going to be something that's part of my life moving forward. It's not going to be something that CBD can fix or CBD can remove from my life. And I found that, grief is definitely emotional, it's physical, it's mental. But I feel more supported in having those moments with my CBD routine. I know that in terms of my grief, that it's not that I'm never going to have those sad moments ever again, but more that during those moments, I'm going to feel more supported. Those experiences or those situations aren't going to be as daunting. And I feel that with my CBD routine, it's not me dealing with my grief, for lack of better words, but more of realizing that it's part of my story now, it's part of my experience. And with my CBD routine, I'm going to have to make adjustments as my moods in terms of my grief ebbs and flows as well.
Bea, thank you for sharing that. It's nice to hear other people's stories. I think, especially when you're starting off with your CBD routine, it's nice to hear other people's experiences to understand where they're coming from and understand, your journey a little bit better. For me, my journey is a little bit different. I, like Bea, had dabbled in CBD previously back in 2017, 2018, and I had a CBD isolate. If you guys aren't aware, there's different types of CBD. Equilibria has full spectrum, which means, we keep all the compounds in there, and CBD isolate is where they take it all out. And, with the compounds, they can work better together. And when I was taking the CBD isolate, I was taking it here and there. The dropper wasn't marked. I didn't know how much I was taking. I didn't know. I was basically like many people when they start off with CBD. When do I take it? How much do I take? How often do I take it? I was just taking it as needed as well. I didn't know that consistency is important. I lacked that education piece. And so because I didn't know what I was doing, what I actually did is I educated myself. I went to trainings and certifications so that I could better understand this, plant. And I ended up at Equilibria because I wanted to try something that was really good quality, because I know quality matters and it's something I value. So I started with Equilibria CBD, and about 2 months in, I didn't feel like a huge drastic difference. Okay, great. But I had an aha moment, a moment of awareness. And I got off of work. I get hangry. So, I was making food and dropped it all over the floor. Well, if I'm already hangry and then I drop it on the floor, I'm wasting money and time. I'm usually more on edge, right? I'm usually a little irritable. But in this moment, I wasn't. I reacted completely differently than how I would have before. I just kind of, took a deep breath, cleaned it up, and cooked myself another dinner, which it doesn't seem like that's a big deal. But for me, that is a drastic change in how I would have reacted. And that was my big aha moment. I was like, wow, it is doing something for me. I am noticing a difference. It's just not as obvious as I thought it would have been, right? We have that expectation it's going to be this magical moment. And for some people it is, but for a lot of us, it's just those little subtle changes that sometimes we aren't even aware of. So that was my first aha moment. I've got others. So sleep. I started taking CBD to address stress. I started off with one full dropper in the morning and a soft gel at night, kind of just a starting routine. I didn't know that I was targeting sleep or that I wanted to do that or that I needed to do that. I just was like, okay, I'm starting off with this routine. I noticed that I was waking up feeling a little bit better, having a little bit more energy, feeling more refreshed. So I started to see some changes. And that was, like, oh, sleep is another goal I think I need to work on. And my CBD might be able to help that. So that was another aha moment. I will say after that, I did timing and changes. So I found I felt like I needed to increase my dose a little bit. So I did that, slowly. I felt like I need a little bit more support at night. So I tried 2 regular strength soft gels, seeing if that's a little bit better fit. And I eventually bumped up to extra strength products. As you can see, I'm taking extra strength products, but over time, not just like, okay, I'm going to jump into 2 full droppers right away. See how you're feeling, because like we said, it takes time. I would say my next aha moment was 8 months in, which is quite a bit of time, right? We talk about the average being 2 to 3. 8 months is where I had another aha moment. At 8 months, I noticed that my period wasn't so dramatic. I wasn't as physically uncomfortable. I get that cramping discomfort. I wasn't agonizing. I wasn't as on edge. So I actually noticed quite a bit of difference. But I would definitely say it took time. My body must have been really out of whack because it took so much time. Now I'm into my routine a little over 1.5 years, and I'm still having aha moments. I was actually talking to Bee about this as well. I went on vacation and went to a sunny, beautiful place, and I wasn't allowed to bring my CBD. Okay, fine. But when I didn't have it, I found myself missing it. I, got sunburn. And when I got sunburn, I really love to use my relief cream. It's like one of my favorite things. I can talk about it all day, but I won't get into that. But it really helps me when I get sunburn. So I like to put it on to kind of soothe my skin. Didn't have it, was really bummed that I didn't have it. I was like, oh, if only I had it. Felt kind of stressed too. Traveling for me can be stressful, being in the airport, flight delays, all of that stuff. So I really actually miss my daily drops and rapid calming melts a lot. So I found myself like wishing I had my products. And I was saying to Bea, I had another one today. A lot of times when I'm on the go, I like to bring my CBD with me. And whenever I don't bring it with me, I regret it. Like I'll be going to a friend's house. I'm like, I don't need CBD. And then I'm like, I wish I would have brought it, because something inevitably will stress me out. And I like to have that little, as needed dose for when something does happen. So, it's moments of realization where you're like, oh man, I'm feeling really good. Or, oh man, I didn't take it and now I definitely don't feel as good. That really can be helpful in understanding if it's working or if it's not working for you.
Absolutely.
Can I jump in really quick, Bee and Noelle, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course.
You guys both talked about using isolate products first and realizing that that wasn't a good fit for you. We got a question from Claire that I feel like just fits in so well with that. Do you mind if we answer Claire's question really quick about the difference between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate? I will read it aloud so that everyone hears it. Claire says, I've read that full spectrum or broad spectrum cannabis options are better than just CBD. I've heard analogies to wheat bread versus whole grain bread, etc. Just wondering what your thoughts are about CBD versus other options. I hope we can clear this up because there's a couple, there's full spectrum and broad spectrum CBD products as well. So let's give Claire a little bit of information here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, talking a little bit more about that, like you were saying, Claire, there are different types: full spectrum, broad spectrum, isolate. To kind of cover the differences, isolate is where they take the CBD compound and they isolate it by itself. So it doesn't have any of those other compounds found in the plant. Broad spectrum is where they keep everything except for the THC. So they strip that THC out of there. And then full spectrum, which is what we are taking with Equilibria, is where they keep everything in there, even the THC, but it's a tiny, tiny amount, less than the federal legal limit, not going to give you any, psychoactive properties. It's there because it can help your body better process and communicate from all those other goodies in the plant, if you will. So they can work better together to give you a little bit more benefit. So that's what people have found. And that's why full spectrum is the more preferred option for a lot of people. Bea, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I feel like that was well put. Essentially what it comes down to is the entourage effect. When it comes to the cannabis plant, all of those goodies, the cannabinoids, terpenes, they like to work better together. And so in my experience, that's why I feel like I had so much of a noticeable difference with trying full spectrum versus that CBD isolate product, because it did take a little bit more with the isolate in comparison to the full spectrum. And I definitely think it's because of that entourage effect. So well put, Noelle.
Couldn't agree more, Bea. Those terpenes are important.
Thanks for letting me
Also,
interrupt.
great question.
Mm-hmm. Keep them coming. If you have any more, we're here to answer them. We're here for it.
Perfect. And so thank you for sharing your experience, Noelle. We'd like to share some experiences of our other dosage specialists on our member education team. And so first, we are starting off with Deborah. And I absolutely love Deborah's story because it goes to show that sometimes when it comes to your CBD routine and noticing those differences, you might not notice it as fast as someone else who's experiencing your stress is noticing it. So with Deborah, she had to adjust her routine 3 times in almost about 3 years. And she also had to incorporate other products episodically as well to help out with those spikes that she had for her health goals. And I think Deborah's story really puts in perspective of how, again, your CBD routine shouldn't be static because your life isn't static. So with Deborah's daily doses, it varies depending on what kind of week she's having. So her CBD ranges from 50 milligrams to 80 milligrams. And as you can see here, she is not only taking extra strength products, but also incorporating some regular strength products as well. And so when Deborah's aha moment came, it actually was almost about 3 years ago when her son was 14. And her son came up to her and was like, I'm noticing something different about you. Something doesn't seem quite right. And she's like, what's going on? What do you mean? And her son said, usually you get upset when I forget my homework or I'm not moving as fast and you haven't flew off the handle at all. And she, kind of took that moment to reflect and was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. And that came about 3 weeks into her routine. And so she found that she was more chill, more relaxed. She was more understanding as well as creative with coming up with solutions to problems that she was having. She also felt like that she could be that even-keeled mom that she wanted to be before taking her CBD. And since she started it, found that she was able to actually be, even-keeled. And I love how she described her aha moment. She said that she felt relieved and she felt grateful for the physical and mental relief. She found that it was incredulous that her body could feel calm in a stressful situation, especially since she had been stuck in that fight or flight mode for so long. And I think that's an experience that a lot of us have, kind of just being in that stressful situation and dealing with it. And so she found that she was amazed that her routine had worked so well and just was excited to share her stories with others, which I absolutely love. Word of mouth is definitely the best.
I love Deborah's story too. What a great, way to realize is have your family kind of say, hey, you seem calmer.
Yeah.
Right. So I will be sharing a little bit more about Sydney's experience. Sydney is another one of our dosage specialists, and she started using CBD for sleep. So that was her primary goal. It's something she had struggled with throughout her life for a very long time. And her struggles revolved around, not being able to sleep. She would sleep for like 2 to 3 hours and then not be able to sleep. She'd be up for an hour. And this would happen multiple times throughout the night. And so her quality of rest was not, good. Her, staying asleep was a challenge for her. So that's what she was really trying to address. She admits, we interviewed these dosage specialists, and she admitted that the first few months were tough for her. She wanted to see more of the needle moving. And she was taking a soft gel after dinner, still waking up every 2 to 3 hours. Felt a little frustrated. But what she did is at month 3, she actually stopped tracking her progress. That seems crazy, but it's not. She did something really smart. And she actually started looking at it month to month, because this is an issue she'd been dealing with for a while and she wasn't seeing a lot of change. She's like, okay, what did I see over the month? So she started looking back at that. And around month 6, as you can see, she realized she was waking up only once per night. So it took her 6 months of her daily consistent routine to really get to a pretty decent place with her sleep. And then around month 7, 8, that's when she was sleeping all the way through the night. And she said she felt amazed, but it took quite a bit of time, especially, she'd been dealing with this for almost her entire life. So 8 months, quite a bit. On top of that, she noticed unexpected changes, kind of like what I talked about earlier. She noticed focus was something she wasn't looking to address, but she noticed benefits. She said she was able to focus for longer periods of time while she was working. She didn't feel so antsy or fidgety while she was working. And that was a big aha for her, something she would not have been able to do before. And really what Sydney attributed to her success with her routine and finding her aha moments was consistency and sticking with it. She said once she kind of dialed in her dose in the first month, she stuck with it and stayed consistent. And that was really vital for her, finding that ultimate success. So Sydney, another great example of how it's different for everybody, that timeline that we've been talking about.
Next, we have Althea, and Althea's story is another great example of how different health goals can have different aha moments, as well as how experimenting with your routines is important, because it can help you find what's going to be the best routine for you, as well as what products are going to work best for your body as well. And so one thing Althea notated was that she had to adjust her routine a lot. And that's because her needs were constantly changing. And she found that experimentation with her dosing, with her products, with her routine gave her so much clarity and context for what routines would be best for certain situations that she was experiencing. Again, going back to your routine is as dynamic as you need it to be and shouldn't be static. So for her, she first noticed a difference within first couple of weeks, but she was skeptical. She was, truly questionable about if this was actually happening. Was it placebo? And it was so subtle. So her first aha moment was actually as a result of her forgetting her dose. She can't say exactly when she started to notice a difference, but it was about that 3-month mark where she was like, okay, I'm able to get better sleep. I'm able to notate that my health goals are actually going in a positive direction. Even then, she says with her routine, she says that all of the success comes down to that experimentation of playing around with products. And then she eventually found that the daily gummies were something that she really enjoyed and wanted to incorporate into her routine. So it just goes to show that sometimes it's not just an adjustment of when you're taking your product or how much you're taking, but also how you are taking your CBD as well.
So true, Bee. So true. So for Amanda's experience, she actually found her aha moment after she learned about the ECS and that education about how CBD is interacting with the body. She said that learning more about that process really helped her understand that you weren't targeting one specific area, that you're helping this system, and it can take some time to kind of balance things out. And I think that is an important thing to take away from this, is it takes time for balance, right? Just like Bea mentioned, or like if you're eating healthy, if you're exercising, it takes time. So that was something Amanda really learned from that education piece. She also learned that taking too much for her own body kind of had her feeling worked up, feeling a little overwhelmed. So she, had to really dial in her dose and lowered it after she noticed that. And once she lowered it and found a good amount for her, she then had kind of like what Bea was talking about, that dynamic dosing. So with Amanda, she actually knows a good amount for her body. So, like 30 milligrams. And she's like, okay, that's what I'm going to work with today. But then she changes, today is a little bit more stressful in the morning, so I'm going to take a little bit more in the morning and not so much at night. Or the morning is great this morning, but I'm having a little trouble, with winding down at night. So maybe I take a little bit more on the back end of my day. That's what she does for her routine after she found the, number of milligrams that work well for her. And that's a really cool way. So having a routine, right? I'm sticking with taking my daily drops during the day, and I'm sticking with taking my daily drops in the afternoon and my soft gel. But, I can play around with it if I feel like my body needs something a little different today. Amanda's aha moment occurred after she found that correct dosage, and she noticed her mood was more balanced, and she didn't feel those same physical symptoms that she felt when she was overwhelmed, that, tightness of the chest or the clenching of the jaw. She noticed a reduction in those when, she had her aha moment. And she said, I think choosing to commit to CBD as a practice, like any other wellness modality, was also a key mindset shift that led to her aha moment. So choosing to commit to your self-care. Okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to stick with it because I really do want to help myself. And that is an important part for Amanda, as well as a lot of other people we talk to.
Absolutely. And so if you find yourself, beginning your CBD routine, if you've been taking CBD for a while and just find that, you need some assistance with making adjustments. What if I need help? Where should I start? Our member education team is here to help you. We are a team of cannabis experts with diverse backgrounds, and we're devoted to providing that education and that guidance to all of our members at every point of your journey, so that way you can feel successful. We want you to find success with your routine, but it can take consistency. It takes patience. It takes that personalization aspect. as well as time.
Great point, B. I mean, with that, if you haven't started yet, go ahead and check out our quiz. It's a great place to, get recommendations of which products and what routine to get started with. Of course, you can always email us at dosage@myeq.com. We're here to answer all your questions. We also encourage you to book a call. You talk to someone like B or myself, you might get one of us, and we love to chat. We're here to help. We love to listen. So please, connect with us. We love it. And if you're looking to book your dosage call, you can log into your account and then go to the account tab, and then you can follow that to book there. Or you can use our contact us page. Whatever is your preferred method, we're here for you.
Can we take a couple of questions that we received this evening?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yay, thank you. We have about 10 minutes left, so I'd love to we have about 4, so hopefully we can get to all of these. I'll read them aloud so everyone knows what we're talking about. First, Jamie asks, my tolerance has gotten very high over the years. Do you recommend taking tolerance breaks to reset, or would that disrupt the healing process too much?
Ooh, that's a good question. So according to the World Health Organization, with CBD, you can't build a tolerance to it. So some people will take a reset break just for their aha moment. So not necessarily for their tolerance, but just to see if it's working or not. In terms of, taking a reset break, I would recommend kind of talking with us and let us kind of help you. We can slowly see if increasing your dose helps and offers benefits. Kind of like what we talked about before. I mean, with your routine, if you're finding you're more stressed, you're planning a wedding, you're moving, you're doing all these like major things, you might need to increase. But a lot of people over time, they find that as they're supporting that ECS, they actually lower their dosage. So connect with the dosage specialist, and we're, here to work with you and kind of help you figure out what's best for you.
Anything else, B, before I move on?
No, that was perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jamie.
All right. So Shannon asks, does weight play a role when determining what your dosage should be?
That is a great question. And really, when it comes down to your CBD dose, your weight and height really don't have much to do with how much you're taking. What it comes down to is your endocannabinoid system, how unbalanced it is, so how much it's depleted of those naturally occurring cannabinoids. That's where we start off first. So that's why whenever you first start a CBD routine, we start off low and we make slow increases because, again, it's not like some equation where we can plug in your height, your weight, and then boom, it tells us, what your ideal dose is going to be. There's a lot of experimentation to figure out what your body is going to need in terms of support.
Thank you for that. All right, so Kathleen asks, can you, quote, overdose, and can you speak to the psychological dependencies?
Oh, that's a good question, Kathleen. Kind of going back to what I was talking about, the World Health Organization, they actually did this study of looking at all these different research on CBD, and they released a report talking about you can't overdose, you can't, build the tolerance, that sort of thing with CBD. So it's generally well tolerated with a good safety profile. In terms of the psychological, benefits and what you were talking about there, we have a lot of people who decide they've helped their ECS and they don't feel like they need it, and they have no issues with that. Personally, I'm just stressed all the time, so I like to take it for myself. But I know that if I don't take it, I don't necessarily need it. I just, like to help myself get out of my own head. That makes sense.
That actually fits in very well with another question that was actually in the chat box. The name is not included. It says, if you miss a day or forget to take your CBD for a few days, does it reset your journey back to square one? It gets me a little nervous because I can be forgetful to take supplements. I hear you on that one.
Yes, that is a really good question. And I will say it comes down to your body. For some members, they find that with skipping that dose, it really doesn't affect them that much. Whereas for others, it is a dramatic difference. For me, I will say I found that when I took that break, that I did have to restart. So again, it comes down to listening to your body. I will say if it has been an extended period of time, so it's been longer than a couple days, I would start off with smaller doses and then increase back to your regular dose slowly. So that way you don't overwhelm your body. But that's a great question.
Anything to add on that, Noelle?
Yes, if you're forgetting to take it, I know that it can happen. We all just kind of get tuned into what we need to do, but you can also set like reminders on your phone or, just in your calendar, something like that, just to help jog your memory. Or another thing, a lot of times we recommend if people are forgetting is to have it in your visual sight, your eye line, or pair it with something you're already doing to kind of help, like eating breakfast. Okay, I need to take my soft gel with that to kind of help your memory trigger. We call that habit stacking. So that's just something.
Also, if you have a device like I can't say their names out loud because I have two of them, a Amazon device or a GOOGLE device, they can do reminders for you as well. You can set that up in those apps, which I find very helpful personally.
That's a good point.
Are there any more questions before we kind of get wrapped up here? Some really good questions tonight. Some ones I haven't seen before.
Love it.
All right. Well, I wanted to remind everyone that's participating two things. One, you will be getting an email from us with the recording and all the details that we shared tonight. Additionally, we are having the birthday sale that's happening right now, which is 33% off everything on site. We almost never do sales that are this deeply discounted. It's been since Black Friday that we did one this big. So if you're looking to start or want to try something new, now is a great opportunity. You just need to use code 33OFF, that's 33OFF, at checkout to get that discount. My personal new favorite product is the recovery roll-on, which we haven't even really talked about that much publicly, but it is on the site. And it is basically like if you took some, BioFreeze or something similar to that and had CBD in it. It's got the menthol product. It's so nice and I love to use it. Noelle and Bee, do you want to share a favorite product that you have currently?
Favorite, It's hard to choose for me. Before this, I use the drink drops. So I'm a fan of those. I like to add them to my juice. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the relief balm. I put that on my feet and give myself a little reflexology massage before bed, part of my routine. So I enjoy that. Also, I love the rapid calming melts. Mm-hmm. So any of those I would recommend.
Yeah, for me, my go-to, as y'all saw in my routine, is the soft gels. I love how long they last, but I will have to echo Amanda as well. That recovery roll-on is fantastic. I have found with some of my activities that I do, my physical activities, that I need something that's not as greasy, for lack of better words. So I find the recovery roll-on is really good in those moments, not only before I work out, but also after I work out without having, that kind of greasiness. So yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we did get one last question in from Robin. Robin asks, how do you work with your doctor when you're on medication? Is there information about your product I can give to my doctor?
That's a really great question, Robin. That's really great. With that, what I would recommend is kind of just having an open conversation with your doctor and ask them if they have any, data or research on that. Certain medications do have the potential to interact with CBD. So that's why we always have you check in. Everybody's different. You may be on, a certain healthcare plan that your doctor wants you to follow. So it's important to do that. We do also have a great blog post about how to talk to your doctor about CBD and incorporating that. So we will, show that to you or try to send that to you, Robin, so that you have that and you can have that conversation with your doctor. That's it. Bee, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I will say, as much as it can be daunting, first and foremost, you know your body best. And especially when it comes to having those conversations with your doctor, just even bringing up the conversation, you'll find that they can have a lot of guidance. I've found that with some of the members that I've talked with, a lot of their doctors are recommending CBD now. So if you want additional information, definitely feel free to contact us. We'd be more than happy to support with giving any kind of background information on the products. And again, definitely check out that blog post.
Thank you so much, Noelle and Bee. This was such a treat to just listen to the both of y'all. I really appreciate it.
It was so fun.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you everyone for joining us. And it's been a pleasure.